Good morning, y'all. Welcome to another video on Luderco Arms channel. So today we are going to be swapping out this 242J transfer case here in the Cherokee for another 242J with a that I just rebuilt in another video and put a Tom Woods slip yoke eliminator in. So we'll be getting rid of this hack and tap slip yoke eliminator. And you can see I already started taking that drive shaft loose, and I already drained the oil in this transfer case. And the reason that we're replacing it, let me see if, I don't know if this is going to show up on the camera. It's kind of hard to see, but this hack and tap it's moving on the shaft. That there's a lot of play in the splines in here. Maybe it'll show up better. I can see it pushing on this drive shaft and feel it, and it's starting to vibrate at about 60 miles an hour, so we don't want that. So we've already drained the oil out of that, so the next step is going to be to take this drive line loose. And because I've got this hack and tap with the old flange type mount, I've got to unbolt that and then take the other end loose. So let's get started. And what did I get the wrong? Yeah, I did. Already starting out wrong. Alright, let me get the right wrench. Alright, I got the right wrench for my flange now, but so these bolts have lock nuts on the back side. They're threaded in here, and they have Loctite on them. So it's going to take a while for me to wrestle them on out. And so I'll bring you back once I got this rear drive line pulled. The back side is pretty simple. You just got the little 5/16 socket and take the straps off. So let me get these bolts wrestled out. It's going to take a while because I got red Loctite on them. And I'll bring you back once I get that drive line out of there. Alright, finally got this drive line wrestled off of here. Let me see if I can show you what the reason that we're having to do this. Alright, so this is the hack and tap, one version of it that you can buy. And if you can probably hear it more than you can see it, but if I hold this output shaft and grab this flange, see that movement right there, back and forth in the splines. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a lot, and it's definitely causing that drive line to vibrate, because that's almost a quarter, well, an eighth to a quarter inch of play in those splines. That's a lot. So that's why we're doing this. And I think the other transfer case that I rebuilt in the other video, it had a flange on it just like this one. And the reason I had to cut the shaft off of it when I went to rebuild it, because they had actually come in here and welded the flange onto the shaft. So I'm betting that they had this same, I'm betting they had this same issue. But yeah, that's a lot of movement in those splines, and that'll cause a whole bunch of driveline vibration. So doesn't matter, we're going to get rid of that. So now we got the back drive line off, we're going to remove the front. and it's the same deal. You got it'll actually be a lot easier because you just got the 4 bolts in each U-joint there. So let me knock that part out because that's pretty self-explanatory, and I don't think y'all need to see me pulling the drive shaft out to know how to pull a drive shaft out with 4 bolts at each yoke. But I'll get that done, and then I'll bring you back and we'll start taking apart the rest of the stuff we got to do to get this transfer case on out of here. So I'll be back. Alright, I've got both the front and the rear drive lines pulled off now. And if you don't have this hack and tap crap on here that I'm having to replace, if you've got like the factory, God, that's terrible. If you've got the factory, you'll have a slip yoke here, and you basically just take your U-joint loose back here, and then it'll slip right off and pull it right off. Front drive line will be the same. It'll just have 4 bolts right up under here in the back of this U-joint here. I don't know if you can see that, but there we go. See this U-joint right here, or this yoke? You'll have 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's what holds the front drive line in. So now that we got those out, what we've got to do is we're going to get a jack underneath the transmission pan with a block and hold that up. We'll take, there's 4 bolts in here, and even if you have the factory transmission cross member, it's the same deal. You got your 4 bolts here that bolt the transmission mount to the cross member. We got to take those out. I believe they're 13 millimeter. They're up in these holes. And then you'll have to pull your transmission cross member out, which I've got this 4-link with the piece in the center that comes off. If you've got a 4-link or a lift kit that doesn't have the removable centerpiece, you have to unbolt all this shit. Not really any way around that. So let me get the jack and the blocks and the tools, and we'll get that all pulled out. And one thing I like to do when I pull these drive lines is you can see that U-joint back there. I got the tape around it. That'll keep the caps in place so you don't lose them. They have they can fall off of there, and then the needle bearings will go spinning out everywhere. So this rear drive line with this flange on it, we'll just be putting it into spares because I've got a drive line with a double cardon with the yoke type end on it that we're going to be putting on. But we'll keep this in the spares because you could knock this end of this off of here and put the other kind of end on there and use it, or I might end up selling it to somebody who's got one of those hack and taps. You never know. So let me get set up for the next step, and I'll bring you back when we go to pull that cross member out. All right, so we got our jack underneath the transmission pan, and we got a couple of wood blocks in there, and that is to keep the end of the jack from crushing the transmission pan. And now what we're going to do is pull these 4 bolts out of these holes in here that are in the transmission mount, and then pull these bolts on my cross member and pull that centerpiece out. Or if you've got the factory set up, you'll still pull your 4 bolts out of these holes for your transmission mount, or nuts. They're 13 millimeters, and then you'll pull, there's bolts on the sides for your cross member. whatever setup you have, you'll have to work with. So let me get this all pulled apart. So now we've got the cross member off, and we've got to pull this bolt and this bolt over here, and that'll pull the transmission mount, and this plate will swing down out of the way because there's one of the transfer case mounting bolts is underneath here, and that's the only way to get to it. And we've also got to pull this linkage off. We've got to pull this speed switch connection, and then there's some other stuff up in here that we'll have to get to. I'll see if I can get the camera up in there so you can see it, but for now we're going to pull that linkage and pull this transmission mount off. So let me get the tools for that, and I'll be right back. All right, so we're going to pull this transmission mount off. Hopefully I'm setting this camera up where you can see. I don't know. Alright, so that'll come down, and then you've got this bracket for the exhaust, which may or may not, yeah, there we go. We can get that off, out of the way. So this bolt right here is, or nut, is why you got to get that transmission mount out of the way, so you can get to that. And there's two more. Oh man, I don't know. Let me see if I can get some light on this. So all right, hold on just a second. Dirt dauber nest. Don't want them son bitches. Alright. So let me see if we can see where we're going here. If you can see my finger pointing. God damn it. So there's another bolt there, and there's another one up above it, and there's that bolt, and then there's three more on the other side. They're kind of a pain in the behind to get to. They're a pain in the behind to see, other than that one right there. And I don't know how I'll be able to film that part, but we'll see. But first, before we get to that, we've got to get let's roll over here. So we need to pop this linkage loose here, and that should be fairly easy with the old big screwdriver to pop that on out of there. Should be, but it's not, of course. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I can't really tell from this angle, but really shouldn't be. There we go. There we go. She's coming out of there now. Shit. Not what I wanted to do. There we go. All right, so that pops out of there. I've got a different shifter linkage to go in this thing that I may put back on it when we put this back together, just to get rid of all that garbage. But we'll see. All right, so that's off. Now, let's see here. Let's see if I can show you this. Yeah. So see, there's an electrical connection right here. That's your that is your little light for your shifter, and then there's a vent hose right here that we got to get off. And then there is this electrical connection here on the speedometer right there, or that's for the speedometer, I should say. So we got to pop that loose, and these other two up under here, and then we should be down to just getting that ring of 6 bolts out. So I'm gonna shut this off and go ahead and get these off, because I can't film it while I'm doing it. There's no way for me to do that. But like I said, you got to pull this vent line and that electrical connector, and then I'll bring it back for the next step. Alright, so vent tube and other electrical connection are gone or off. This one, you've got this little red clip right here. If it's still on there, you gotta get you a little screwdriver in there and pop that out like that, and then you can press in right here, and that should come up off there, just like that. All right, so that is all of our connections, and the only thing we've got left are the 6 bolts around the back end of the transfer case. So we've got there's one right here in this hole, and there's one way up here in that hole. There's one here, and then there's 3 more on the other side here. And I don't know how I'm going to film that while I'm doing it, other than just kind of a back off general, me sticking my hands up in here. So we can let the jack down some. We want to keep it supported, but we can let it down some. That'll help get to some of those on the top. And can't go down too far because we got that linkage right there for the transfer case. But we'll see what we can do here. I'll start working on getting them bolts out, and I'll bring you back when I get to one that you can actually see me. Okay, a little update. So I got this. It is so hard to get this in the camera. There's the bolt right here. Dang this thing. Alright, the bolt that was right, or the nut right here, I got out with a wrench, 9/16. The one up here, I used a socket and a longer extension to put my ratchet back over here, and slowly but surely worked it out. So I got those 2 off, and now on to the other side. Okay, I got all those bolts out, or the nuts off, 5 of them, other than this one on the very bottom, which I got kind of just on here, hand tight holding for just a safety. But they're a bitch to get to, especially if your hands are big. So you just got to take your time and wrestle with them. And I've got this kind of set up. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I don't think my jack goes up quite high enough to catch this thing, but I'd like to kind of support it as it comes out of there, because I don't want it to just fall into the floor. But if it does, it does. Let me pull this last nut off and we'll see what happens. All right, it actually didn't go too bad. Cop this thing over here. Don't really want to damage it because it's going to be my spare now that I've used the spare. All right, let me get this thing drug out from under here and we'll get the new one and start doing our thing. Be right back. Okay, let me see. I don't know how much of this you'll be able to see. I can't really film and do this at the same time, but at this point I have my new, well, not new, but rebuilt transfer case here. You got to try to get it onto the jack and then get it up in the hole. Now, if I had a lift, I would just pick this sumbitch up and stick it on there. Problem is, I don't really have enough room to do that under here. I'm sure if I set this on my chest and rolled under here, it might work, but I don't know. So, this will probably end up being a blooper reel, but I don't know how, and I don't know how much you'll see, because I can't help but be in the way of the camera because of what I'm doing. So I will do my best to give you as good a view of what I'm doing as I can, but I can't promise anything. Can't fucking see. Damn it. damn it. Oh, God, sorry. Shit. Damn it, go in. Motherfucker. Fuck. Get in there. Shit. Oh. Fuck. God damn it. Oh. Oh, fuck. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, fuck. All right, I ended up having to do exactly what I was trying to avoid having to do, which was just manhandle that friggin' thing in there, which I'll probably pay for tomorrow. But it's in there. I got one of the nuts started on it. I'm going to go take a break. Be right back. All right, so now that it's up in there, I can get all my nuts on there. So the ring of 6 nuts going around it, that's what we're going to put on now. And just like when I took them off, there's no way for me to film it while I'm doing it because the camera is in the way of me doing it if I'm filming it. So I'm going to get those on real quick and I'll bring you back and we'll get this thing knocked out. Be right back. All right. So I didn't get it all on film because it's impossible to work up in here and have the camera up in here at the same time. But you can see we've got the transfer case shift linkage back in place. We've got the vent line and the shifter indicator electrical plug back in. We've got our speedometer electrical plug back in. Our 6 bolts are back in. So now we are ready to wrestle this transmission mount piece back. All right, sorry about that, the battery went dead. So now we're going to go ahead and put the transmission mount and stuff back on, and try to get the cross member wrestled into place. So all right, got our cross member back in, got our transmission mount mounted. Everything is good to go. So what do we got left? We got to put drive shafts back on, and we got to fill this thing up with oil, and that'll be it. We'll be golden. So let me get some of this crap out of the way and gather up the stuff to put the drive shafts back on, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we got our new drive shaft here, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and bolt it onto the transfer case at the slip yoke eliminator and get it tightened down, and then I'm going to have to hop up in the truck, put it in neutral so I can spin this around and get the U-joint lined up with the rear axle, because the rear axle's got a Detroit locker in it, so you can't spin the yoke. So let me get that done, and then we'll come back and put some oil and ATF in this thing. So I'll be right back. All right, so we've got our new drive shaft in. Looks good. So we got to squirt some grease in that thing, but we'll do that tomorrow when we're doing the rest of the service. Today we're just doing this transfer case. So now we got to fill this thing up with oil. So you've got light over here. That's where you fill the oil till it's even with the bottom of the thing there. And then I'm gonna go take this thing for a test drive, and then tomorrow when I change the oil and everything else, I'll check that again just to be sure and make sure I don't have any leaks. So let me get my little ATF bottle and pump, and we'll fill that up. So let me get that filled up. All right, y'all, we are all set. The new rebuilt transfer case is in. I just filled it up with Dextron 3, and I'm fixing to take her for a test drive, bring it back, check for leaks. I'm about 99% certain that that's getting rid of this right here, all that movement is going to get rid of my driveline vibration. So that'll be it for this video, because the battery on this camera is about to go dead, and I'm not going to go get another battery just to film me driving down the road. So that's it for changing out the transfer case. Pretty simple, nothing hard about it, other than getting it back in. The hardest part for me is I'm always by myself. I don't have anybody to put an extra hand on something, and I don't have a lift. See, if you have a lift where that transfer case is up here at eye level, it's a whole lot easier to pick it up and stab it on there than it is trying to do it laying on your back underneath on the ground. But I don't have a lift and I don't have help, so we make do with what we got. Got the job done. So hopefully this has helped somebody out, and I will see y'all in the next video. Y'all have a good one.